No fap is not going to turn you into the biggest muscular guy you've ever seen. So just touch your penis whenever the hell you want. Simon Motherboard A-hole here. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And today we are going to go through fitness myths given to me from you. And we're either going to dispel them or we're going to try and find the truth within them. Because there is some truth in fitness myths. Just over time, they go absolutely crazy. And this is arguably a video that we should do all of the time. Because I've told you before, I go out there and I can read all these articles of people saying crazy, crazy things. I'm like, that isn't even remotely true. So I have my phone right here and we shall start with Rosetta Drone, which is a great name. She says, when I first started exercising years and years ago, I thought lifting heavy weights would make me too bulky as a woman and wanted to be toned instead. We'll get to that one. I now understand why that's silly, but I still think it's a pretty persuasive myth that needs stomping out. Rosetta, you were 100% correct, and I say this to everybody. If only it was that simple. I would love to be a big Arnold Schwarzenegger looking type guy, and I would love to just lift weights like Arnold Schwarzenegger, look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but as you have so rightfully pointed out, that isn't how it works at all. You can lift heavy and heavy and heavy, and you may look bulky, you may not look bulky, you could look thin, you could look muscular, you could look athletic. It all depends on your genetics. Now, the reason that it is bad is two reasons. One, it stops people from training properly in the gym because they think, I can't be too intense because I'll look like that. Again, you always want to be intense in the gym, no matter what your goal is. And you kind of threw something in there too. Now, this is a minor detail that is very, very specific to me, but I don't know what toned is. I make this joke all the time to the point I run it into the ground. But the only thing that is toned around here is your printer. And you are not a printer, and therefore you are not toned. Because what does it mean? Ripped I get, jacked I kind of get. These are more slang terms. People actually think toned is a specific way. I want to look toned. And you say, what does that mean? Well, I want a toned bicep. What does that mean? And actually what they mean, tying into what you're talking about, is not bulky necessarily, but they want to be able to see it. And I think those two things actually walk line in line with each other. So it absolutely is a myth that needs to be dispelled because it's stopping people from training the way they need to get their physique, which actually isn't bulky. It's just being able to see the damn thing. Which moves us on to Mare Freelick, which is also a great name. We're winning this game. I found that doing more cardio actually helps my body adapt better to any kind of training, including weightlifting. So not really a myth, but just something I found surprising. Well, no, once again, there's the truth that we can extrapolate from this, or the myth, I suppose. And that is that you shouldn't do cardio because it's going to steal all of your gains. You've seen it. It's been around since 1676. If you do too much cardio, the first thing your body is going to do is go hop, 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 and eat all of your muscle. Now, if you do fall into a catabolic state, that probably is going to happen. But as long as you're eating food, which is an anabolic thing to do, and not doing hours upon hours of cardio without eating, this is very rare unless your body absolutely hates you. And I totally agree with you. If you are in good cardiovascular shape, walking is going to be easier, running is going to be easier, going to the gym is going to be easier, boxing, wrestling, mountain climbing, MMA, whatever the hell that it may be. And this is why you want to be in good cardiovascular shape, because overall, it's just going to help you in every single area of your life. And if you do think you start losing muscle, I would argue it's probably nothing to do with the cardio anyway, but if you think it is, just eat more food. It means you're burning too many calories, you've fallen into a calorific deficit, which you don't want, so just go back into a maintenance or a surplus, or just push it up a bit so you're still in a deficit, but not in the bigger deficit that you want. But do cardio, because it's good for you. Why the hell wouldn't you want to do something that's good for you? And next up, we have ER Bysong, incredible name, who says, for those like me who are below 60 kilograms and want to add weight, we are told to eat as much as we can, not minding what we eat, and hitting the gym regularly in order to convert the gained fat into muscle. I mean, that's just an old doozy, isn't it? I was told this. I mean, forget being under 60 kilograms or not being able to put on weight. When I was first starting getting into it, people say you just eat and you eat and you eat and you shove food down your throat, and eventually, if you work hard enough, all of a sudden the fat will turn into muscle. And then people will say, oh, but you better keep doing that. You better keep that training up because that muscle will then turn into fat. It's not true. It's like me being able to turn this phone into the microphone, or the microphone into the phone, or the phone into the towel. That's right, I'm using a towel at the moment. It's a long story. It doesn't work. They're two completely different things. You need when it comes to your body, you need different particles. That's not the right word at all, but do not try and turn fat into muscle. If your goal is to lose fat, lose the fat and then put on the muscle. I mean, you can do them simultaneously, but I always think it's nice to have a focus, and vice versa too. The only reason people get fat after they stop lifting weights is because they keep eating a tremendous amount of calories, but they're not working out anymore. They're not doing their cardio, so they're not burning the right amount, and your body isn't able to use that many calories as well as it is going to do if you are keeping yourselves active. Don't go nuts. If you're finding it hard to put on weight, you don't start eating 6,000 calories, you have 2,000 calories. when that doesn't work, you do 2,250, then 2,5, then 2,7, then 3. And you keep putting it up by little and little amounts by increments until you find, oh, hi, I am putting on the weight that I need. And then you can just move it a little bit. Like if you go 100% straight away, you haven't left yourself any vertigo. And Matthew Leons comes in. Still a good day, Matthew, but I think you'll agree, not as good as the other ones, but I still love you. I think a big myth is not being able to put your knees forward in a squat. Matty boy, you are right. I was told this by my current girlfriend. She used to come to the gym with me when we first started going out. I don't know why, doesn't want to do it anymore. And she used to say, oh, your knees are going too far above your toe or something. And I'm like, I wasn't even doing that anyway. But I was like, yeah, but this is how I squat. I feel comfortable in my squat. I don't get any pain in my joints or in my knees. I feel, secure. I feel safe. This is how I want to do it. But some people will say that you have to keep your knees, I don't want to say locked so much, but like pulled backwards. And depending on how you're built and depending on how your hips work and your back works and your legs work, that may actually be more dangerous. Do squats, and as long as the squat doesn't hurt and you're not putting too much pressure on your back, because obviously you can get away with it for a little while, you're going to be fine. So if you want to put your knees out, put your knees out. If you want to bring your knees back in, knees back in. Now, there is a point to any of this that you could obviously going to know if you're putting yourself in a position of serious stress, but that's absolutely nonsense. That's not what you need to focus on. You do need to focus on your form first and foremost, but when you're going down, you don't have to be thinking knees, wobbly knees. I mean, not only does that sound weird and like you've got a massive problem, but it's going to throw you off course and you're probably getting a little bit scared because the squat is a scary lift. Of course it is. You're putting loads of kilograms and a big bar on your back. I would argue that's not normal unless you're a donkey. I'm moving on to Reese Kendall, who says, when I'm scrolling Instagram, my wife says, ew, don't look like that. Like I'm going to transform into a stage-ready Jay Cutler by going to the gym for half an hour twice a week. Again, that kind of ties back into the first question, but it's true. I've done the same. Look at pro bodybuilders and go, wow, man, Chris Bumstead, he's my favorite at the moment. I know, boring answer. My girlfriend will sit and go, oh, man, I don't want you to look like that. I'm like, are you kidding me, Mother Hubbard? I would love to look like that, but I can't. So all you're doing now is kind of rubbing the salt into the wound. But it's absolutely true. We'll reiterate it once again. Going to the gym and eating a lot of food doesn't turn you into a pro bodybuilder. If a genie popped out of this microphone, that's what I'd ask for. It's not going to happen. And Josh Gibson says doing crunches to lose belly fat has to be up there for me. It's unbelievable that people still think, I mean, it's twofold. They think if you do crunches, you'll lose fat, and if you do crunches, you'll get abs. None of this is true. It all comes down to your diet. It all comes down to what you're doing in the kitchen, as they say. Abs are made in the kitchen. That stupid saying that was once made up with. Now, you should be doing crunches and abs and core work because it's good for your core, which is going to help your other lifts, and it's going to help the center of your body. But it's not going to get you, who's got great abs? I don't know. John Morrison. He's a pro wrestler. He's got great abs. It's not going to get you John Morrison abs. So if I were you, I really, really wouldn't worry about it. Doesn't mean you don't do the crunches, but you're not going to lose belly fat, and you're not all of a sudden going to get a magic six pack. It's just not true. And if anybody is telling you that, or if anybody is making you do it every single day because you were going to achieve this, bullshit. Which brings us on to Sean Keegan, who says, I remember hearing that static stretching was bad for you somehow with alarming frequency. Now, my man, Sean, you have actually stumbled into something here because this is the middle ground between reality and myths. And this is why they get, thrown on the internet to the point that they do. Static stretching is bad for you. I don't use the word bad. Is less good for you before a workout. You want to do dynamic stretching because you want to wake those muscles up. You want to make sure you're all supple. So, if you're warming up your back and you're touching your toes, you want to bounce a little bit. Same with your chest, your arms, your back. It's just a great way to prevent injury because sometimes if you overstretch a muscle from a static perspective, it actually can be, this is what some studies have shown, and as always, you can find a study to poo-poo it, but some studies have shown that does actually weaken the muscle. These aren't the right words, but hopefully it still gets the correct point across, which is why you do dynamic stretching for 10, 15 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable with, before you work out, but after you work out, you want to do static stretching, sorry. I think I may have got that wrong. Dynamic stretching before, static stretching after, because then you do want to stretch those muscles out. They're stressed out. They've got lactic acid everywhere. They're screaming at you, why did you do this to me? So they need a bit of love. Don't just leave the gym. Now, of course, sometimes you've got to be somewhere or you've run too long or you're late. Yes, then you do just have to go and do it. But if you can get it in, you should. I would always cut 5 minutes off the end of your workout, which I know sucks, and do some stretching because you've got to think about longevity. You don't just want to be working out next week. You want to be working out next month, next year, 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years. So there is some truth in that, but let's face it. If you do static stretching before you work out, I still think you're going to be in a pretty good place. And Nathan says you can isolate and target fat loss in certain areas, i.e. targeting belly fat. You cannot do it. Don't listen to any personal trainer or any program or any supplement. There's no way to target belly fat. You can't target arm fat. You can't target leg fat, ass fat, chest fat. You can't do it. How could you do it? What kind of magical thing you do that all of a sudden your body goes, oh, we're doing cardio, but he wants to get rid of my bum fat, so I'll do that. It's not the case. I would love to get rid of my bum fat. I store all my bum. I store all my bum in my bum. I store all my fat in my fat. I store all my fat in my ass, and it drives me absolutely nuts. It drives me absolutely crazy, but it is what it is. And when I do start to, lose weight and lower my calories, eventually my bum will catch up as well. So just accept that when you are losing weight and you are on your journey and you want to get rid of the bingo wings, which I still think is an offensive term, that could be the last thing to go. But all you got to do is stay the course, keep disciplined, keep motivated, and keep energetic towards it, and you'll get there eventually. But yeah. Isolation, bull crap. And we go to Jason, who says you have to use full range on every lift when it depends on your body and past pain. Sure, form is the most important thing, range of motion is the most important thing, time under tension. But if you've been doing this for a while and you know you have aches and pains, are you allowed to cheat? Yes. Because you just have to look at the situation as it is. If you have something you know you can't fix, you've been to a doctor, you've been to a physician, you don't just not go to the gym. If you know it's safe for you to go and train, you have to figure these things out. So sometimes you won't be able to do range of motion. I say this all the time. Sometimes you can see somebody in the fitness palace of love and they don't look like they're working out in the right way, but you don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what their ailments are. You don't know if they're coming back from something. Maybe they had surgery a few months ago and they just need to find their footing again. But Jason has hit the nail on the head there. Yes, range of motion as much as you can, but what's more important than that is you, because you are the vehicle here. You are the boat, you are the ship, you are the centerfold. So do whatever you can to persevere and to not hurt, because you don't want to hurt outside of the pump and stuff like that. And if that means that sometimes on a bicep curl you can only do a 3/4 lift, do it. And we move on to Sean Chan, who's got quite a big one that says the time period you have to eat after working out. Like food can't digest that fast, can it? Eating before a workout makes more sense to me. Also, no pain, no gain. If I don't feel sore within a few days, did I waste my time? I've heard conflicting reports. So the anabolic window is nonsense. We talked about this before, unless you're training fasted and you're not having an intra-workout. Because if you've got no food in you, then yes, as soon as you work out, you want to make sure you're replenishing your glucose levels and getting protein and carbs, blah, blah, blah. But these are that's a small percentage, I would imagine. I still do it because I like eating after the gym, but I just make sure that I save some calories and I have it as an anabolic window. But if I move those calories to another meal, would it make a difference? Absolutely not. I just enjoy it. And no pain, no gain is a pile of crap. Like what they mean by that is when you're lifting weights and you have that mind-muscle connection, you get a bunch of lactic acid in your arm, it hurts, right? Because you get the pump, you get the burn. So you know that you've done a good lift. But if you don't get delayed onset muscle soreness or DOMS, which can happen 1 to 2 to 3 days after, that doesn't mean you've had a bad workout. It doesn't mean you have a good workout. Like it's cool if you do get it, because it's a nice little, well, I must have done something. But you can find super jacked dudes all over the place that probably haven't had a day of DOMS in their entire life. So, work out hard. Try and get that lactic acid build up in the muscle, because usually it means you're doing something right. If you don't get it, though, just think again. And if you're growing and your numbers are going in the direction you want to, who even cares? Adam says that working out too much younger will stunt your growth. I mean, I started working out when I was pretty young. I mean, no, I don't believe it at all. Again, once again, it's a study thing, this, because I can't pertain to know the information because I'm an idiot. I'm not a scientist. I've read articles about it and stuff, but what does that mean? But I guess my brother and sister compared to me are quite tall. So I'm 6'1", like on the but I am 6'1", and my brother's like 6'4", and my sister for a girl is like 5'11", which is quite tall, 5'10". So you think, well, maybe I should have been like 6'2" or something and maybe going to the gym, but I don't buy into that. And also, make a decision. Let's say it is true. Again, I don't think it's true. I think it's an absolute myth. I think it's absolute lies. It doesn't make any sense. But let's say it is true. Don't you just want to be massive? Go to the gym. And Nathan says eating protein every 2 hours is necessary to avoid losing gains. No. That is nonsense. It's about what you do over days and weeks and months and years, not what you do within a 2-hour day in a window. So it's 4 o'clock on a whatever it is today, or Wednesday, Thursday. If I don't eat for the rest of the day, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference. Now, if I carry that on tomorrow and the next day and the next day, then my body soon is going to catch up. But you can get away with a 28, 24, 48, 72-hour period. What you need to do is, what did I do on January 1st to January 1st? And if for 95% of that time you're eating in the way you need to and getting your healthy food and making sure it's all planned out well, your body isn't all of a sudden going to drop a bunch of muscle. But people do say that. They say if you're not eating 2 to 3 hours, your body freaks out and it shuts down. If that was the case, we would be useless vessels. And actually, when you break it down, well, we're quite good. And Nick says eating raw eggs thanks to Rocky lol vomit emoji. Now, I once read, again, the study, that said if you actually cook eggs, you get more protein in it. So why bother drinking them raw? Now, I also think that's been debunked since then. But once again, you can find whatever you want. Just cook your eggs. Although, alternatively, I think you can drink raw eggs now or eat them, and they're relatively safe. If you prefer it that way, do that. This comes down to the same thing as fasted and non-fasted cardio. However you want to eat or drink your eggs, do it. That's it. And Shingtitsu says, wanking, here we go, uses up precious protein reserves, and thus is detrimental to games. Flex emoji, crying, laughing emoji. I mean, it's nonsense. If this was the case, I mean, you are going to get some kind of hormone fluctuation when you ejaculate, but what a conversation. I really don't think, the reason I don't think you should do it before you go to the gym, the Fitness Palace of Love, and that stupid name I've come up with now has a whole new meaning, is because you will be tired. It does expend energy, and it is going to kind of chill you out a little bit because you'll get a certain release of hormones that will make you feel that way. So that's probably the main reason you shouldn't do it before going to the gym, but it's not massively going to affect your testosterone levels. It's not going to increase them. It's not going to decrease them. No fap is not going to turn you into the biggest muscular guy you've ever seen. So just touch your penis whenever the hell you want. If you want to masturbate before you go to the gym, do it. If you don't do it. If you want to do it when you come back for a treat, you should do it then. But it's not going to... You're not going to be a pro bodybuilder and then get obsessed with wanking, do that for 6 months, and then be a tiny, tiny person. That's not true. If it did happen, you should probably go see a doctor because something's wrong with you. And amazingly, that was the last question. I didn't plan it out that way. I thought we had a couple more, but now I've ended on wanking, so I'm finally living all my dreams. Now remember, no matter what kind of fitness information you come across, even what I've said today, go on Google, find other YouTubes, talk to people in the gym, make sure you educate yourself enough so you know what's right and you know what's wrong and you know what works for you, because there's not a one-stop shop. It's absolutely different for everybody. I mean, there are sort of classic things that will always work, but even then you may need to tweak them just a little bit. But more important than that, train hard and know that I believe in you. Also, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the bell ding ding so another video is going live. There will be another video on the screen. Please do give it a click. Otherwise, GorillaMind.com/Simon. You can start to get 10% off. The Gorilla Dream is back in stock. Now, I've recently started taking this over the last few weeks. Last few days, I should say. It's flipping awesome. So if you want to check that out, I absolutely think you should. If you struggle to sleep like I do, it's one of the best sleep products I have ever taken. Also, patreon.com/Simon316 at Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. I'm also on Cameo. I can give you a shout out. Birthday, Hanukkah, Bar Mitzvah, whatever it would be my pleasure. Rosh Hashanah, Shana Tova. Big Cartel, Simon at thebigcartel.com for merch. Otherwise, please do watch other videos. That's the lifeblood of the channel, really. Thank you to everyone that does support. Be his own.